Mm.
Okay, bet. You ready?
Mhm.
All right, bet. I'm about to do the intro. Dreaming of beaming, really him, not them, shining like a diamond. No need to be in the sun when you're already shining like one. Out this world, out this galaxy, known to turn dreams into reality. And I am here today with the beautiful, as usual, smile on her face that you can't replace. Glazing looking amazing. Nice shining bright is the sky. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm
Hi, so
Nye.
okay, cool. So, welcome to Growing in Love today, our podcast that we made. It's like the first episode. It's like a starter. We're gonna see how how this go. But the topic today is falling in love versus growing in love. So, Ronaldo, would you be cool explaining what like falling in love is, and I could explain growing in love?
Yeah.
All right, for sure. So,
Although I feel like we have two different perspectives.
just go. Say your perspective. If I like,
Alright. I feel like falling in love is unconscious because it's like you ever heard the saying like I'm blinded by love?
uh,
I feel like you should never be blind in love. Like you should know what you're doing. You should know where you're at. All that. So I don't know. That's all I can really say.
okay, falling in love to me is like you just being clumsy as hell. Like you just hella clumsy. Like you just fall. Like falling in love can happen so instantly. Like it's so quick when you fall in love. It's like you don't know this person familiar. You might have fall for their looks. You might have fallen in love because you done hit something. You feel me? Like it just happens so instantly. But like with growing, like and it's like you fall. Like why the fuck would you want to fall in love? Like why would you want to fall in the first place? You're being hella clumsy. You're not on your toes. But with growing in love, it's more of like it takes more time to grow in love because you take time to understand that person, to understand how they need to be loved, to to understand their love languages, to understand their trauma, to understand their roots, to know why they blossomed the way they did. Like growing in love is just way more patient with understanding instead of falling in love when you just like being clumsy and like you just on some kid shit. It's like falling in love is puppy love and child love, but
Hmm.
growing in love is like more mature. So that's what I think. That's what it is.
I would say another thing too is that when you're falling in love with someone, oftentimes you don't know your identity, you don't know who you are. And so you're looking for something to complete you, something to fulfill you. Whereas growing in love is like you're you, I'm me, but us together we can complement each other, not create each other. So
Mm. So what would you so with you falling in love, then growing in love, what's like the differences between the two
to
of like yourself?
of myself,
Yeah.
that's a really good question. Recognizing that I have to be grounded in my own identity to be with anybody, because it's like I feel like we've all had a situation where we get into a relationship and then you and that person don't work out. And it's like you feel like you done lost yourself. Like you don't know who you are. Like something just feels like it's missing. So
Mm.
I would say the difference is being sure that I'm grounded in my identity, that no one can really shake me off of that. And then just like, I don't know, growing in love, knowing who I am and knowing who my partner is. It's like we grow together, but at the same time, it's still embedded in my identity to do that. So, I don't know, there's many differences.
Mm.
Sex is another one. Uh, you ever heard of like makeup sex? You
Hell
know how
yeah.
like you can have a really toxic
Hell
relationship,
yeah.
super toxic relationship, but it's like something so out of pocket can happen, but y'all have a little bit of makeup sex and it's cool.
Type shit.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like growing in love, you don't do that,
Yeah, that shit.
especially when you celibate. So yeah, there's a lot of differences.
Mm.
I never feel blind either. I never feel blind in love.
What you
Like,
mean, like blind in love? Like,
cause you know when somebody has like those red flags and stuff, and it's like you can't see it, but everybody else around you can see it. So it's like they always trying to talk to you and tell you like, oh no, that's not cool. Like I don't like how you be doing that.
hell
That's
yeah.
toxic. Like no. When you blind in love, it's like you don't even see that they're red flags, or you do, you turn them to yellow flags. So it's like growing in love, I don't feel like you can be blind in love because growing in love is so conscious. It's like you recognize, and then going back to what you said as far as understanding like their traumas and stuff and understanding why they move the way that they do, it's like you're so conscious that you can't be blind to it. So
Mm.
just that awareness piece.
So you was never aware of, like the toxicity in like your older relationships? Cause I don't know, like with me, I feel like it's like you could see the red flags, but you don't want to accept it. Like you not like there's a part of you that knows what's going on is wrong, but maybe it could be different because like you grew up in a household where it's like you grew up to that type of environment, which a relationship is like, and that's what you think love is. But I feel like there's like a feeling like this not right, like this is not what it's supposed to feel like, and like sometimes it might be like you might be too attached to the person, and you can't detach. You know, it's like you like that person gives you worthiness that you
Hmm.
don't have in yourself, a love that you don't have in yourself. So is it like they're not aware of it, but they're aware of it, but they just don't want to leave?
I think it can be both because at a point in time, I felt like both the way you just said. So, in the beginning of my really, really toxic relationship, due to the fact that like it's normalized growing up for me, at least in my household, my family, it's like you don't see healthy relationships, so you don't know what that looks like. And so, me just thinking like, oh, this is normal, like this is how everybody gets down. No, I was not aware at first. And then at the same time, like I already had those traits myself due to the household I grew up in. So it was like we were really complementing each other's toxicity, I guess you could say. So, no, I wasn't aware at first, but then like things just kind of got out of hand, and then it got to a point where it was like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Like something's wrong. And then it's like you come to the realization of that, but then you're already so far gone and like attached to the person that it's like you are in denial. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely. Cause I had my the Lulu stage,
You feel me?
real, in real denial.
You feel me? Type shit.
Hmm.
You got any questions for me?
Hmm. So being in a toxic relationship, how did you know that it didn't feel right? Like, so you were always aware of it. Like, why, why didn't you leave when you figured out it was toxic?
So, like, it was cool. It didn't get This like my first relationship. It didn't get toxic till I moved.
Mm.
Then like that's when I found out the only way we connected is if it was just being physical and doing the deed. So then it was like then it was like, man, like she'll just be on the phone all day. It's like, bro, we've been on the phone for like 10 hours straight. Like, what the fuck is we gonna talk about?
Facts.
Like, what the fuck is we gonna talk about? Like, we've been on the phone 10 hours, and it's like, then like growing and maturing, like I just realized like she just wasn't the one for me. It was like I can't even have the deep conversations I like to have with her. She she grew up in a toxic environment and she had toxic relationships, and it's like the way that she wants to be treated is not the way I love, because I wouldn't say I grew up in a toxic environment with relationships. Maybe I grew up in a different type of way, but it was the one she lived at, because like it was just hella stuff that she would go through. So it's like dealing with me, it's like you're not finna get that.
Mm.
Damn, bro, we'd just be arguing on the phone, and it's like I knew I was supposed to like not be with her, but it was attachment. Like it was really like I was just attached to her. Like we was attached to each other, but like we finally broke it off. But we was just like attached to each other, and it's like I think it also had to do with like being virgins, then not being virgins no more. Then it's like
Mm.
that's your first person you do it with. So I feel like it has a lot to do with that too. So
Definitely.
it's attachment
Them soul
issues.
ties.
Yeah, yeah. Not attachment issues, but attachment.
Mm.
So yeah.
So I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
So, talking about the difference between falling and growing in love, do you believe that there's a difference between falling out of love and growing out of love, like outgrowing someone?
Hell yeah.
And what is the difference?
I feel like growing out of love and falling out of love. That's a good question. That's a good question. I wouldn't really know. Like falling out of love is I feel like you just like fall out with that person. It's like you just don't. I don't know how to explain falling out of love. The way I would explain growing out of love is like you're growing at a speed where that person just can't catch up.
Mm,
Then it's like they don't understand the new you that grew.
definitely.
When we first started talking, she might have liked eating meat and all this, but now she's going vegan and changing her diet, or she could even be going pescatarian. And there's certain stuff that she doesn't want to eat no more. So you be like, baby, let's go to our favorite Mexican spot, and she don't want to go there no more because she's not eating that no more.
Mm,
Then it's like you might love different. Like they might heal traumas that they had. Now you got to love them different.
right.
So it could be like, so I feel like that's growing out of love. It's like where you're growing. Then it could also be for the other person. It could be like you're just growing, and it's like they're not growing with you. It's like they still want to go to parties and all this, but you just want to chill. You might want to do some work. Then after that, you might want to go read a book. You might want to work out. But they still out here partying and stuff. Now y'all not connecting no more. It's
Mm.
like you done grew out of love with that person. It's like, so I feel like that's what growing out of love is. Well,
So you think it has everything to do with evolution then? Just like elevating
yeah.
and
Yeah.
then not being on the same level?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what do you think falling out of love is? Because I don't know.
I don't know if I even believe in falling out of love because
Okay.
it's like when you're in love with somebody, I don't believe that you can just fall out of love.
Hmm.
I don't.
So where do you think the love goes in? Like,
Hmm?
where do you think the love goes in after, like, where does the love go?
You were probably never in love to begin with then, if
Mm.
that's the case.
Mm.
If I'm being honest, you may have loved what they did for you. You may have loved the way that they looked. You may have loved the hype around their name. You could have loved so much about their character, but you didn't love their character. And that's why at the end of the day, that love is not theirs because I just don't believe that you can fall out of love. I think you can grow out of love, definitely, but you can't fall out of love.
So you just was never in love if you fall out of love.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't love them for the right reasons, then, if that's the case. Because it's like a healthy love is loving somebody for them, not for what they do for you, not for what they can bring to the table, not for anything but them, like their character, their presence alone. Like, that's what you're not even attached, that's what you're in love with. Like, that's what attracts you. So, no, I don't believe that you can fall out of love. You just never love them for the right reasons to begin with if you don't love them anymore. And you haven't elevated, they haven't elevated, like you didn't grow out of love.
Okay, okay.
So, no, I don't believe in that.
I fuck with that. So, my next question would be, so, like, so how's your experience with me growing in love? Like, how is that? Like, learning the difference between falling in love, then growing in love. So, like, what's the difference between those two that you experienced with yourself?
With myself, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
Definitely
For
not.
surely not.
It's not easy at all. You definitely have your trials, your tribulations. Like,
Oh, yeah.
falling in love is easy. It's like, when you fall in love, it's real easy. Like, I'm in love with you. That's all you need to know, period. But growing in love is like you have to take time, a lot of time, to like understand and connect and all those good things. And understanding alone is like, it's a lot.
Hell yeah.
So just understanding the person for them and like why they move the way that they move and stuff. And then it kind of makes me self-reflect, like, damn, why do I move the way that I move?
Facts.
Like, why did I do that? Or why did I react that way? Or why did I say that? Or little stuff like that. So it makes me dig deeper within myself, like, because oftentimes I don't realize that I do have these traumas attached to relationships. And so walking through this with you, it's like I have to do a lot of evaluation. Oh, God. Where it's like, oh, why did that trigger me? Like, and what can I do to solve that or to deal with it in a healthy manner, or I don't know. So I say a lot of analyzation within myself, and then just learning that I deserve good too. Because I would say when we first started, it was like, this is a little too good to be true. Like, something's not right here. Something's not adding up. He must be hiding something. Like, this just don't even feel right. Because it felt so right. So I would say learning that I deserve good and learning that I deserve a healthy, happy relationship. So that's something that I've learned. What else? Learning to be submissive. That's never been easy. So learning to understand when it's my man's turn to lead and when I need to sit back and enjoy the ride. No. And learning not to be so independent, because like I'm so independent to the point where it's like I'm harming myself instead of asking for help. So learning to not be so independent and be submissive sometimes, allowing my man to lead. Trust. Yeah. Trusting myself enough to trust my partner. And then that goes back to like trauma and stuff. Just having to really reprogram myself and my perspective on relationships and like what I want out of it, the definition behind a relationship and commitment and all those things. So I've learned a lot so far.
Type shit.
Yeah.
Type shit. With me, myself, with growing in love, I feel like the first thing I learned was like, it's not the first thing I learned, but like one of the biggest things I learned was like, before you can grow in love with somebody else, you have to grow in love with yourself.
Definitely.
Because it's like what you give into yourself is what you give out.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you have hate in you, sadness in you, all this other negative ass energy in you, then that's gonna show the way that you love.
Mm.
So I needed to like sit down and really be like, damn, like I need to understand myself more. I need to love myself more. I just can't. I need to work on my insecurities because when this happens, I be feeling this way. Then I be in my head overthinking. But all that shit just comes from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you can't even love that person right because you don't have the right love for yourself. So that's like one thing I learned. And to like just be your own best friend. Like before you get into a relationship, you should be comfortable enough to be alone with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like that's one thing that I feel like I wanted to talk to girls for. Cause I didn't know how to be alone with myself. Then when I learned, it's like, man, I don't give a fuck. Like I be turned by myself. I have a dead ass party in my room by myself. So it's like you have to be comfortable with being with yourself and understanding yourself and learning yourself. So, because I feel like you can only understand with other people what you understand about yourself.
Mm.
So,
Oh.
so I feel like that goes with growing love. Then
Mm.
it's just being patient. Like, you got to go through the ups and downs. Sometimes you got to be cool with being bored for a minute. It's not going to be that same feeling you got when you first met that person. But then it's like, you think about it and you just like reminisce on the times and be like, damn, like, I want to create more memories with that person. Like,
Mm.
why should it just have to stop when we first started talking? Like, we can do more new stuff that's more adventurous. But I feel like it's growing in love is just you have to grow in love with yourself first. You gotta water your own plants.
Definitely.
So that's what I learned from it for sure. For real.
That's powerful.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So what would you tell yourself? What would you tell your falling in love self?
I couldn't tell her anything.
Just just enjoy the journey.
Pretty much, yeah. Because it's like I said, when you're so blind in love, it's like you don't even see it how everybody else can see it from the outside looking in. So it's like people was telling me all the time things that I needed to hear, but I didn't want to hear it. So I didn't listen. And with that, it's like you have to allow everybody to walk their own journey and learn from their own experiences because everybody learns different. And one thing about me is I'm a hands on learner. I have to learn for myself before anybody could ever tell me anything. So I wouldn't even tell her nothing because she wasn't going to listen anyway. I would have just let her walk, go through the emotions, go through the journey, and grow on her own because you can't rush the process of healing. You can't rush the process of learning.
Right.
So I wouldn't say nothing.
Type shit.
I just let her do her thing.
I mess with that. I mess with that.
What would you tell yourself?
What would I tell myself? What would I tell freshman dreamer? What would I tell sophomore dreamer? What would I tell junior dreamer? I would I would tell like the first relationship ever. I feel like I would tell him to get to know yourself more
Mm.
so you know what you like. So if this is the stuff that gives you happiness, that gives you peace, this is the stuff that you love to talk about and you can't talk about that with that other person, then it's like you ain't even gonna connect with her with the way you like to because she can't get deep as you and she can't go on your mindset that you have.
Mm.
Then I would tell them to control your sexual energy because that's another part of it. Like if I knew how to control my sexual energy and I just didn't do what I did, then it'd be like, dang, like it's the only way I connect with her. Like I don't even like her for real. We just connecting off of sex. It's like I can't even sit down, chill with you, have a cool, little smooth conversation. It's like all we doing is, you feel me? So I tell him that too. Then I would tell him to work on why you want a relationship so bad. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why did you want one? Is it because you really want one? Is it just because you lonely? Is it because you looking for a woman's love that you couldn't get from your mother? Like, what was it?
Mm-hmm.
So I would have him question that. Then I just let him go through the process and journey of what that looks like. So that's what I tell him for real.
Listening to you say that, there's probably one thing I would tell myself:
What?
that not every action deserves a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I feel that the biggest issue that I had in my last relationships was not being able to control my emotions. And so when you can't control the things that are sent to destroy your peace, it's like they're controlling you. And you don't have no control over nothing. And then the one thing that you're supposed to control is yourself. So, I don't know. I would just tell her that you don't need to give a reaction for every action that's done to you.
Mm. So what? So what made you help with like? I have two questions. So what made you help with using your emotions? Then you also said that you had to learn how to be more submissive. So like, how did you learn how to like let yourself step back and be like, you know what, I gotta start being more submissive. Then the second question would be, then the other question would be, I forgot. I don't forgot. Okay, just answer the submissive one.
Okay, so as far as the submissive one, I'm a woman of God. And so that's something that I hold very close to my heart in my relationship. And within that, it's like when God is leading your man
Mm.
and your man is leading you,
Mm.
it's heaven sent. Like,
Okay.
it's much deeper than our worldly thoughts or our worldly desires.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, it's a higher spirit, it's a higher, what's the word? You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
Um, it's like that's what's leading the relationship, that's what's leading your man. So if I know that God is leading my man, then I don't have a problem with that.
Mm.
I can be submissive to that. But if you don't know how to lead me, you don't know where to take me, then I have to lead myself. So
Mm.
when your head is on right, I could follow you.
Type
If
shit.
you act in a nut job, boy, I got it.
Eh.
I don't need no help. So yeah,
Mm.
that's what taught me to be more submissive is, and that goes with walking with faith too, like trusting God. So,
Mm.
and then your other question as far as my emotions,
Yeah.
I need you to be a little bit more
Elaborate.
yeah.
Elaborate. Okay. So what I meant by that was like, so like you let your emotions control you.
Mhm.
So how did you tell yourself, okay, I need to calm down and I need to look at my emotions and be like, I should do a different way. Just because I feel like this, I don't got to do this. What helped you do that, or what made you do that?
What made me do that? So, there's actually a quote that really inspired it, and it was control how you respond to things that are sent to destroy your peace. And one thing that I really longed for growing up in like a domestic violence home and stuff was an inner peace where nothing could disturb that. So after I came across that quote, like it made me do a little bit of self reevaluation.
Mm.
And within that, it's like, first of all, I didn't understand my emotions. So when you don't understand why you feel the way that you do or why you're triggered when certain things happen to you, it's simply a response, a reaction. It's not, you don't sit and think like, why do I feel this way? It's no, I feel this way and I'm about to turn the city up. So
Mm,
I would say learning to first identify my emotions and understand them, like being able to isolate them and understand them, take some time to myself to be by myself
mm,
and get a good understanding of them before reacting. And then another thing too was learning to react with logic, not emotion, because oftentimes we're human. So
yeah.
oftentimes the emotion can be so overwhelming or so strong that it completely takes a situation for a course. Like, that's why people say things that they don't mean when they're upset or when they're really sad. So, just learning to let my emotion run its course within myself and then come back to the situation like, this is how I felt. I felt this way because, but I'm willing to work on that now that it's not pumping through my body like blood. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I would say that's what really helped me with that. And then another thing too is understanding the importance of your energy. Like, not everybody deserves to come encounter with your energy. So when you're just spazzing on anybody or telling anybody vulnerable moments or situations that's happened in your life, sharing that with somebody like that's just as sacred as sex for me.
Oh God.
So
Oh God.
just learning that your energy is not meant for everybody and that's okay. Um, I would say a lot of self isolation.
Factual.
Yeah, that's what did it for me.
Factual. I mess with that. I mess with that. You got any more questions for me?
Do you ever feel like your emotions controlled you?
Hell yeah.
Mm. Do they still control you
Sometimes.
sometimes?
Sometimes. I feel like I got a better. I'm better at it though, but like
Mm.
they still control me. It's like I can control my anger. I can control. I can control my feelings, but sometimes it just be like. Sometimes it just be like, bro, like it's not even the emotion itself. It's more of what the emotion is telling me. It's like telling me like, bro, like you need time to yourself, like
Mm.
to really just sit with yourself.
So you feel that's how like your body, your mind, your soul communicates with you is through emotion?
Hell yeah,
Okay.
I feel like
I
it's like
like
that.
that.
Yeah, cause it'd be like, cause it's like even reading the book I'm reading with like how in like if you're ready, this is how you heal. It's like it's telling yourself like you need to let yourself feel these emotions. When you're mad, you need to let yourself feel mad.
Mm-hmm.
When you sad, you need to let yourself feel sad. But then I feel like it's also understanding like, okay, why am I mad? Like why do I get mad out of nowhere? Why do I get sad out of nowhere? Like what what situation happened today that made me feel like this?
Mm.
And why do I feel mad about that? Then it's like you keep asking questions, then you get to the root of it, which might come from childhood trauma, which might come from something that happened in middle school. It could have been happening in the beginning of the high school year. It could have happened in elementary. But it's like, why did that happen and why does it make me feel like this? So I feel like with my emotions, when I feel some type of way, it's more of my body or it's my emotions telling me that you need to sit down with this emotion you feeling right now and just be by yourself and just ask where did it come from and understand that feeling. Then you
Right.
need to accept that feeling because all you really do is keep yourself busy. Oh, you want to do a podcast. Oh, you want to do some music. Oh, you want to write some poetry. You want to hang out with this girl. You want to do this. You don't want to sit down with your feelings though. And all you're doing is building up that feeling to get worse. So then when it hits, it's gonna hit hard.
Mm.
It's gonna hit hard where you just gonna be like, man, I don't want to talk to nobody. You just might spaz. It can be anything. So it's like It's my emotions telling me that I need to sit with myself and
I like
understand
that.
me.
You're very self aware.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
Mm, let me see. So, what's the biggest lesson? What's the biggest lesson you learned falling in love than growing in love?
The biggest.
Biggest. The number one.
I got two.
Okay, same.
The first one was to love myself, understanding that I'm worthy, just like understanding my worth and knowing how to love myself, because you can't expect anybody else to love you if you don't love yourself. So it was really just learning who I am and how to love myself and walking through that process of learning my own worth. Then the second one is sexual energy,
Mm.
definitely, because you'd be surprised how much you really connect with somebody when there's no sex.
You telling me?
When there's not that energy or that temptation or anything along those lines, you'd be surprised like how much you learn about somebody. And then it just has a lot to do with like self-discipline too, which is probably one of my biggest weaknesses is self-discipline. So
Self-discipline.
I don't know, just walking through that with my partner, it's yeah, it's a big difference from falling in love.
Mm. Mm.
I'd say those are my two biggest lessons.
I mess with that.
What are yours?
My biggest lessons falling in love would my biggest lesson from falling in love would be, bro, that's got a lot. But I'd probably say, I would say, man, understand yourself first and love yourself the way you like to be loved. And love yourself enough where you don't feel like you need love from anybody else because you got that love with yourself. Because I feel like once you got love for yourself, then nobody can really run game on you. It's like, I could try to run game on a female, but if she love herself and she know her self worth, she knows her self worth, and she knows all this about herself, then I'm gonna have to come at her a different way where it's
Mm,
not running game. So I would say to understand myself, to understand all the hurt that I got, and to love myself. That what I tell myself falling in love. Then when growing in love, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Cause it's like it's hard for me to be vulnerable. I know I might seem easy at it, but it's hard for me to be vulnerable. So with growing in love, you got to be vulnerable. So your partner can understand you. And so you can understand them too. So I would say it's uncomfortable. But you gotta be comfortable with uncomfortability. But growing in love is uncomfortable. That's what I have to say.
okay.
For real.
Those are some valuable lessons.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Oh yeah. I'm gonna say the thing that light bulb in my head that one night too.
Mm,
So like with growing in love and falling in love, it's like falling in love. It's like it's more down here. It's like it's your lower energy, and like with falling in love, I feel like it has to do with you have a lot of ego. Cause I feel like growing in love, and once you mature, and like you got that mindset, and like a lot of people get this confused when I say it. But when I say that's not your girlfriend for real, that's just your experience. Cause you might not experience that person forever. You're not going to experience that person forever. That's just the experience you're having with them at this moment. So it's like, then it's like, it's my girlfriend or it's my boyfriend. It's like, you can't own a person.
Mm.
It's like, you can't own that person. It's not yours. You ain't make that person. That person is God's. Because the only person that could blow that candle out when it's time to be dark is God.
Mm.
And he's going to blow your candle out when he feel like blowing your candle out. You don't have the power to do that. So that's never your girlfriend or boyfriend for us. Just more of like, this is the experience I'm having with this person. Then I feel like with that, it gives the mindset of, it's like not to really be controlling or anything like that. Because I also feel like that comes from insecurities in
Mm-hmm.
doing this and saying that, and like saying this is mine. And with you saying this is mine, it might give you some self worthiness of yourself from somebody else, because you can say that's your person. But I don't really look at it as that aspect. So I feel like it's really like falling in love is really being with your lower self. Then with your higher self, it's more mature, it's more understanding, it's not judgmental. It's you don't you know how to control yourself, and you have self discipline. So then I feel like with growing in love is growing with your higher self, and it's more being more conscious and being more higher with yourself than it is with falling in love. You just with your lower self, and you still childish, and that's like you still got that puppy love.
Definitely.
So yeah.
Oh my gosh, how could I forget? The biggest difference between falling in love and growing in love is having God at the center
Oh God.
of your relationship, allowing that to be the foundation. How um how did I space that?
Bro, the face you just made was hella funny.
Cause how did I space that? That's like the most important.
So what's the difference between the relationships of not having God than having God at the center? So what's the difference between like those two relationships?
Learning that there's a time to be submissive and a time to be assertive.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's one thing like when you on your own journey with God and it's like sometimes it can be a little bit lonely. Um it's just you and God. And that's like a very intimate time to grow your relationship with God. But then when you have a partner to do it with too, it creates a different type of intimacy. It's not like cuddled up watching movies or walking through the park late at night. It's like a spiritual connection more so than your heart and your mind. So, and then as far as like an alignment ship versus a relationship, which we'll get into on another day, but it's like that's what keeps you aligned in holistic health is your mind, your heart, your soul, your body, all of it. So if you don't have your soul, your spirit within the relationship, something ain't right.
Factual.
Something's not aligned, something's not, yeah. So that's the biggest difference. And just knowing that, like, at the end of the day, God's in control. It's like you're exactly where you're supposed to be, going back to not worrying about the future and whatnot. It's like God has you right here, right now. So this is where you're supposed to be. There's no mistake in that. So just trusting the process, knowing that it's divine timing.
I fought with that. Okay, I think that's the perfect way to end it off with God.
Mhm.
So, um, before we leave though, let's say 3 things that we appreciate about each other. You go first.
Me go first.
Ladies first.
Okay. Um, I appreciate that you are vulnerable with me, even if it's difficult for you, cause you walk it like it's a piece of cake. I don't never see no difficulty with you being vulnerable, but I appreciate it. If that is uncomfortable for you, I appreciate the way that you communicate with me. I do, because effective communication is the solution and the medicine for all problems. Then I appreciate you motivating me and
How do I
showing me to.
motivate you?
How do you motivate me? You motivate me in many ways. Like, even just today, I didn't want to get up and do anything today. I didn't feel good. I just wanted to rest all day. But I'm here doing this with you. So, yeah, you motivate me. And now we're going to go to the gym and do everything else.
God damn
So, you motivate me.
Okay. What do I appreciate about you? I appreciate your understanding. Like, you're real understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Second one. It'll be the way that you communicate.
The way what?
The way that you communicate. Like, we could, like... And you think we don't communicate good. Like, you don't communicate good, but you, like... You got really good communication.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. Like, I get a lot of understanding from us communicating. So the third one would be the third one would be is helping me get closer to God. Cause it's like I've been on and off it, but then I talk to you. It's just like we should just do a Bible study. Then I went to the church with you that night. Then after that, it was raps from there. It was really raps from there. Like, I'm still on it. So.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
So I appreciate you for that a lot. So yeah, first motherfucking episode, man. We
First
gonna catch.
episode.
You got anything else to say? Any goodbyes? Anything?
Peace.
You feel me? We gonna catch y'all. We out this motherfucker. Zooming to beam really in at the end. Sound like a diamond glazing, looking amazing. No need to me in the sun. We already shining like one. I'ma catch y'all on the next one. It's good. Peace out. Welcome to Growing in Love. First episode, man. God damn.